All right, testing. Kurapika, are you there?
Hey there, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining. So excited to meet all the Factorians.
Thank you. And by the way, forgive me if my voice is a bit weird. I think I just got hit COVID for the launch.
Oh, perfect timing,
Perfect
right?
timing, couldn't ask for more.
Yeah.
How are you?
Oh, and am I pronouncing your name right? Is it Kurapika?
Yeah, perfect.
What's the story behind that?
Oh, no,
Is that a moniker or
yeah,
real name?
It's my pseudo-anonymous character. It's actually from my favorite anime. Yeah, so Kurapika.
Pokemon?
No, not Pokemon,
No, just kidding.
although, yeah, although I do adore them.
I'm just kidding. I'm just which anime is that from?
Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, okay. I know
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, a really popular one. Still have not seen it. I think it's on my Netflix watch list in the abyss there.
No, you should. When you have time, it's still in the top 40 on IMDb in top TV series on all time.
Wow. Yeah, I know. It's like on everyone's like top, honestly, so many like influencers, like top five list, it always includes that one. So yeah, definitely have to finally make time and watch that.
Yeah, please do it. And please DM me when you have your favorite character.
Right. Yeah, maybe we'll have to fight in the next one. The next social media comes up, who's gonna get the Kurapika handle?
There we go.
Anyways, I think we're pretty much ready to get started. Someone else is requesting to speak. I'm not sure. That's only you from your team for now, right? Okay, no, they're gone. So let's, yeah, ape into Arbitrum with FactorDAO. Thank you guys, GM. And it's been a pretty action-packed morning here at Across. This is week 2 of the campaign. Super excited to have FactorDAO with us this morning. As I mentioned in a lot of the Twitter posts leading up to this event, hidden gem alert, guys. FactorDAO, they're going to be launching a lot of things very soon. So this is a really good opportunity to get some alpha, see what they're cooking up. And I'll let you just give a general introduction of yourself and Kurapika and your team and the project.
For sure, yeah. So I'll start with myself. So I'm Kurapika. I hold a background in fintech for the last decade, doing different financial instrument and building insight products for venture capitalists and government organizations. I went into crypto in 2016, fell in love with Ethereum and decentralization. And in 2017, I took my background and applied it on what is a crypto research firm. So I raised some money, hired 20 analysts, and we basically analyzed and researched this entire ICO Wild West that was around in 2017 till 2019. Then came the bear market, which made us close, unfortunately, but I kept going and contributing to several DAOs and advising other protocols. And in actually one of those DAOs, I met my co-founder, Shortcall, which is not here around, but it was around 9 months ago. And from that point on, we started working on Factor full time. We met Alex, which is Cross-Chain Alex on Twitter, about 3 or 4 months ago, and he joined to the team, and we started scaling. And now I'm proud to say that we're a team of 11 and keeping growing as the day goes by. So really excited for the upcoming launch. And just before we'll get into the details, I'll give a quick overview about what Factor is all about. So basically, as I said, 9 months in the making, Factor is what you would call a liquidity middleware, which practically speaking means that we took something called ERC4626, which is a standard vault by Ethereum, EIP, and we customized it so it will not only support multiple assets, but will enable anyone to go and create any type of financial asset or strategy and offer it onwards and monetize. So it's a fully permissionless access. Now, practically speaking, what it means is that once you go into the Factor platform, which is a no-code platform, you have 2 main pages. The first page would be create, and when you go to create, which is more targeted for strategists, protocols, funds, they can go in, they type in the vault name, the description, which is practically speaking the methodology, and a ticker because all the vaults on Factor are tokenized and tradable. So you choose the ticker and you move to the asset composite, which basically means any type of asset you want to apply into the strategy that you're creating. So the easiest use case would be an index of some sort, because you can then go and apply equal weighting or custom percentages and put, let's say, 5 different assets: Ethereum, the Dopex, Jones DAO, whatever it is. Let's say we were focusing on the Arbitrum ecosystem, and you include it into the basket with a distribution of 20% into each. And then you move on to choose the fees and permissions that you want to offer. So fees, it's performance fees and management fees that are charged for the creator. So it's basically a way to monetize your knowledge and strategy, whether you're a trader or someone that is researching fundamentals for the longer term. You can apply these into the strategy and monetize it if it's successful. So once you published it, assuming you choose the permissionless path, it goes over to the Discover page. And the Discover page is a place for anyone to get exposure to these permissionless vaults. So let's say I'm now a DeFi user and I want to generate yield, and I have all these different options and all these different services and protocols around different chains. I can instead go into Factor and discover these vaults which are utilizing these strategies from all the different protocols and integrate them into a one-stop shop. So it's basically a shortcut for anyone that goes and wants to hunt down for some yield.
Wow, that is super interesting. I'm really curious, in your experience with strategies, which ones you find have been the most successful, and then which ones are kind of more interesting use cases than more innovative.
Beautiful. And first, I'll open with a disclaimer. Like, when this is something that we say all the time, although we have knowledge and some of us are traders, we don't come and offer strategies. We are offering the infrastructure for the strategists and the investors that want to get exposure to meet up in this one place called Factor. So that being said,
Absolutely.
I just previously mentioned the more basic use, which would be an index or a basket. Let's say you just want to tokenize your portfolio because you think you have a great portfolio and you want to try and monetize it and allow someone to access it immediately. But if you want to go deeper, we are now working in order to incorporate all the different integrations. We've already announced, I think, over 7 partners and lots of them to come, and they are integrating into the Factor infrastructure. So it means once you go and create a strategy, you can not only create this basic basket, but start incorporating different hedging strategies and delta neutral elements that will enable you to hedge your risks within the strategy. So to your question, I mean, I guess the more interesting use cases that will become inside Factor would be the active managed ones. So it means that on the other side, you have a very qualified strategist or a trader that is utilizing their knowledge inside the vault, and the investors that decided to deposit into the vault are enjoying the yield that was generated by them. So it could be high frequency trading, and of course, enabling different hedge positions in order to cater for more risk averse investors.
Gotcha. Okay. And yeah, thank you for that disclaimer. Sometimes that there's such a blur, right, between how much the protocol is involved when you're just offering this sort of infrastructure for people. So yeah, that's great. Thanks for doing that. So the first question I had was the sort of recent hype on around the factory is that you guys have joined the round table. And yeah, we're big fans at Across, big fans of Camelot and what they're building, sort of with these like special pools where they're more managed by the actual projects. I think that's like super interesting. But yeah, so why did you choose to work with Camelot yourselves for to launch the LP there? And you have public sale coming up next week. Can you let us know how people can ape into that?
Of course. So first I'll start by saying, I mean, we met Camelot, I think, almost 3 months ago, They were still not into this. They still had their roundtable and they were an amazing project, but it was still didn't get into this type of, I guess, success that they're now having. And I'm super happy that they're having this because we basically met a group of great people that we connected with on a personal level. And just after seeing all their implementations, I mean, the first thing in mind is the fair launch model. And I think this solves one of the biggest problems in fundraising in crypto, which is valuation. Because when you enable a fair launch that anyone can participate and you use the same pricing point, basically it means that once the launch is over, the FDV is decided by the demand purely and not by trading off the launch process. So we're really happy with it. And 3 months in, we can see all these different examples of successful launches and Camelot themselves. So we're very excited for this process. And yeah, so this is why we chose Camelot. Basically, they have also amazing features like the Nitro pools, which will really boost up the liquidity that is generated after the launch. But as you mentioned, let's just quickly discuss about the public sale itself. So it occurs in 3 days from now, on the 20th of the month. It starts at a price point of $0.1. And as we said, it's a fully fair launch, so everyone can participate in the same price. It doesn't matter if you enter first or last. It's determining the valuation itself by the end of the sale.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for joining us today. Like, it's in 3 days, the public sale. I can't imagine how busy you guys are.
And throwing
it's
COVID,
always
throwing
a
COVID.
wild time. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh my goodness.
No,
Yes,
but we're excited and we're very much
you're
happy.
A champion.
We're very much happy for the opportunity to talk with anyone because transparency is, I know it might sound like a cliche, but like we're quite idealists here. So, I mean, transparency is everything, especially if you want to build a DAO, right? So as much as to get or outreach for as many people as possible and tell them their story, I think it can only do good for all parties.
Right. Well, I think your explanation about the factory and FactorDAO is pretty straightforward. But I would like to know, and especially since we just talked a bit about the public sale that's coming up, how the token Factor FCTR is going to, be incorporated in the ecosystem.
Beautiful. Yeah. So let's say the first or the major pillars of utility for Factor would be the revenue share. So when Factor, let's say anyone goes in and create a strategy and the other side, the other party that wants to get exposure to it gets in, when they exit, there's some kind of a transaction fee, 0.3% that is charged for Factor. So out of these fees or the revenue that Factor generates, 50% of it goes directly back to Factor stakers. And the other 50 goes into the treasury to enable the runway for the DAO. Now, the Factor that is getting staked is generating V Factor. I'm pretty sure you all heard the term before, which is a governance token that is locked and generated in order and not transferable in order to avoid any type of whale access or governance attacks. So this would be the major utility for a project like Factor, especially when they choose to go into a DAO model. So V Factor is the governance of the entire protocol. So we couldn't exist without Factor.
Got it. Okay, great. That's a really good overview. Then I guess I just wanted to know, with you guys are, of course, still, I know you said you've been, starting out for about 9 months, but still considered a startup. And just wanted to know what some of the pros and cons are of sort of launching this style of, like, sort of like a one-stop shop of sort of taking from different strategies of from other protocols instead of just having all of these strategies on your own. Do you know what I mean? Just like the inverse of that.
Could you elaborate? I mean, do you refer to the launch process or the protocol itself?
Yeah, the protocol itself. I think, like, what was the sort of inspiration
Beautiful.
of going about the design of the protocol this way instead of like the inverse of that? Like, what are the pros and cons, I guess?
I love this question because, I mean, first of all, it aligns completely with the reason why we chose a DAO. I mean, except the personal reasoning, there are different solutions that offer strategy creation, right? But you can say, well, I can create those strategies by my own and revert all this revenue to the protocol, which is theoretically great. The problem, and it's not only a problem for strategies, but for the governance as a whole, is that we believe that no matter how talented is the team, there's a limitation of what they can do, whether it's creating strategies or managing a protocol. So by allowing this to be more of this open discussion and open creation process, you enable more diversified strategies to be created and incentivized upon the platform.
Okay, and then I guess those like
I can do a con if you want. I can do a con.
yeah, I would. Yeah, I want to see like what would be the point of sort of any protocol not just going your way then, right? But then there would be no protocols to, I guess, take the strategies from. I don't know. Okay, but yeah, let me know the con.
We see it as a solution, right? Because there's lots of different protocols right now, and I think since inception, that chose to create a protocol on top of a strategy or two, let's say. So whether it's now Arbitrum is really hyped, so we have GMX, and people are building protocols on top of it in order to allow the different strategies. So it means they need to hire developers, they need to create the marketing and the launch strategy, and it's a whole focus that is going directly for that. So instead of that, Factor enables this no-code creation where the same yield aggregation can happen in a few clicks. So it enables just more seamless access for the same people that want to be strategists. It just saves a lot of operational headaches, I guess, in order to create it instead on top of Factor. It just it creates a few shortcuts for anyone that has a strategy that they want to enable. And on the con side, I think I can say, I mean, as a whole, as a DAO, it's hard to coordinate, right? It's not a problem for Factor itself, but not just for Factor, but any DAO that wants to enable. And we're all now experimenting with different governance models and participation programs in order to enable a more efficient execution as a protocol. So what we did for this is we created a hyperstructure of sub-DAOs that basically each and every one of them are fully independent with their own treasury, and they enable the growth of the protocol. So one would be the treasury and asset management DAO that can manage the Factor treasury, as well as assisting anyone that comes in, whether they're partners or individuals that are creating strategies on top of Factor. You have the R&D sub-DAO that is more managed regarding enhancing the infrastructure itself and researching for more features that are needed in the platform, and so on and so forth. So obviously we're pre-launch, we can't say it's the best approach, but we've researched it hard and we're very looking forward to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, so am I, because you at the start of this conversation mentioned that the UI is no code, and it seems like, just based on your verbal overview of how it's gonna look and feel, it seems like it'll be super intuitive and just not overwhelming for the average person.
Correct. And just again, I love those disclaimers. I don't want anyone to get high hopes regarding what we're launching in a few days from now, which is the same infrastructure. It's just we're not enabling the creation process yet. The reason is that we want to first release the platform with the Arbitrum index, basically. So it's a bunch of vaults created by the DAO itself and the partners that we have. And the more we progress, we can integrate for more partners, because the agreements are there, the technological aspects are there. We need to audit it first. So right now, just today we got the audit for the infrastructure side, but any type of integration that we're going to go requires further audits. So at the first stage, we're basically enabling the discover side, which will be one click in order to get exposure, let's say, to the Arbitrum ecosystem or any other types of assets. Now, once we roll out the creation side, which should be really early in Q2, yes, it's very much intuitive, and it's not just about the creation side, which is intuitive. One of the challenges or the goals for Factor is to enable a very seamless access to the discover side as well. Because if we just enable anyone to create permissionless strategies and clog the entire discover database with thousands and thousands of vaults and strategies, and nobody can find their way into it, we didn't solve anything. We just created more mess. So what we're now enabling and working on is another risk management layer that sits on top of this no-code platform and enables different rating metrics and performance metrics to enable anyone, even with low financial knowledge, to get exposure and understand what they're getting into.
Oh, wow. Yes, I'm very familiar with how hard that is, right? To sort of get it's like that conundrum, right? So we get the communities to sort of vote and get more involved, so we know which, even for like an IDO platform, like which IDO is more so like verified, or are we going to have all these kind of like scam IDOs like flooding the platform, for example? Yeah, that is a super interesting sort of challenge in creating a platform like yours.
It is.
You mentioned about strategy. Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I think you mentioned about like capital efficiency, and that is definitely on everyone's mind these days. And that is one of Across's focus as a team. And our, I guess, goal for the long term is to always be the most capital efficient bridge. And I just wanted to ask, since capital efficiency is on everyone's mind, how do you see sort of strategies evolving? Like, I think we've seen a lot of like dual token usage. Are we going to see the triple token usage? The same token used across like different layers? Like, yeah, I'm just really curious what you think is in the future for these strategies.
Very interesting. And I think, I mean, basically capital efficiency means how we can utilize all the different liquidity that circles around all the different chains. So right now, Factor, for example, we're launching on Arbitrum, but we're already looking into different solutions, maybe to be deploying on other chains or accessing these omni-chain solutions or bridges, or there's several solutions that can happen in order for the same infrastructure to support different chains. So it means that now we can start looking into different arbitrage positions and more risk-averse liquidity utilization based on all the liquidity that is available on different chains and not just the home chain of the protocol. So it's a great question because it's really interesting on how people will start utilizing liquidity further in a more, I guess, risk-averse way.
Right. And you just said, of course, you guys are launching on Arbitrum, hence why you're part of this campaign. But you also mentioned earlier in this call that, Arbitrum is very hyped right now. So why do you think that is? As like a founder of a DeFi protocol, why did you guys choose to go with Arbitrum, and why so many others? Because it really is a DeFi paradise. There's just so many interesting innovations on the L2.
You said it. And by the way, like the word hype, like you used it for Factor and for Arbitrum, it got this negative connotation, but sometimes it could actually be supported by fundamentals. And I think Arbitrum is very much of the use case for that. So we started, as we said, a while back, and we spoke, I think, with most L2s and also some of the L1s that are competing with Ethereum. And I think the first thing that we found when we started going into the Arbitrum ecosystem is the fact that both the community, the protocols, and Arbitrum themselves are working in the symbiotic space. And yeah, you said it. DeFi seems to be the holy grail right now, but the efficiency of the chain, as well as the community that sits on top of it, it just fits completely to what we wanted to have with Factor on launch. And to be honest, right now, it seems as if it's proved itself, because I think we speak with all the different protocols, the major ones on Arbitrum, and we're about to launch integrations with them as well. So it's very exciting to see such a warm ecosystem being grown.
Yeah, that was like the whole purpose of this campaign too, was like there's just so many, such as FactorDAO, there's so many interesting opportunities out there. And, the average person, even myself, we don't have time to sit there and read through like all the docs of every project to like become, intimately familiar. So this is like a much more digestible way to get to know some of these like fantastic opportunities, which, speaking of which, just a short few days from now, you guys have your token launch. We're super excited and really thankful that you could join us even in such a busy time. And I think that's all the questions, I have.
No, and thank you so much for having us. I mean, we're really excited for the launch on Arbitrum. And as you mentioned, I mean, you almost pitched me for the Arbitrum index. Basically, it's very hard because it's now you see Arbitrum as this growing ecosystem and you want to get exposure to it, but there's so many different protocols that are launching and it's hard to keep track. And one of the reasons why we wanted the Arbitrum index to be on launch is the fact that it's hard to capitalize and capture all of these. So instead of that, you can, we just announced today, by the way, that Camelot are creating a vault for their roundtable. So if you want to get exposure to the roundtable, instead of going and researching the entire ecosystem of Arbitrum, you can look at Camelot, say, okay, I trust their judgment because XYZ reasons, they've proven themselves in the market, they've proven themselves in the ecosystem inside Arbitrum, and now they'll be in charge of managing I don't even want to call it strategy, but the methodology of their vault. So instead of that, you can just go and get exposure to it. So yeah, but very excited and always happy to chat with whoever, as long as we have the time. So yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and when you guys expand, hope to see across on the factory UI at some point, and hope that you've had a good experience while using our bridge as well, personally.
We'd love to explore that.
Yes. Okay, well, again, thank you so much. And everyone, thanks for joining. This is the end of week 2 of Ape into Arbitrum campaign, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye, everyone.